I can start YouTube. Okay. So I don't have too much time now, so it's like an hour. I figured I'm probably not going to do too much in an hour, so that's why I'm streaming on my second channel. But yeah, we're going to look a bit into React server components. I got this question from tech support, which wasn't a question, right? It was just a joke. Which library are you going to remove TypeScript from today? So it started with like Rich Harris, right? So Rich Harris was like, yeah, I think we're switching from TypeScript to TypeScript with JSDoc. This will help us with our library and all that stuff. But everyone spread that news as Svelte doesn't use TypeScript anymore, which is kind of like silly. Of course they do. And that surface level understanding of it got dangerous. And a lot of people were like, oh, I'm also not using TypeScript anymore. And they were doing it wrong, right? And it ended up with just DHH kind of like sabotaging stuff, right? So it's the same as like people who are like sending malware in their packages, and they're like, yeah, this is I'm just I'm at the point when I just want to get something out of my popular package, but I don't want to like support it anymore, right? And it's fine. Like it sucks for everyone who was open source contributor and like used that for something production and all that stuff, but he's free to like destroy his open source stuff, right? And you're free to fork it and create like a real one. And I just wanted to like react to this because it's like Trump, right? So Trump does something stupid, everyone needs to like say something about how stupid Trump is. It's like, yeah, so like DHH does something stupid and everyone has to say something about it. It's not wrong because like if everyone talks about it, you should probably talk about it as well. But it's just not the not the best use of our like collective time. We should probably find a way to not do that. Yeah, so the way that I think about it is that this is a person who said that my goal is in life is not use JavaScript when I develop my applications, and we care about what he says about JavaScript. Like you shouldn't care about that. Like what's the point? Like he specifically says that he doesn't want to do anything in JavaScript, and you're asking like, oh, how we should do our JavaScript libraries. It's like, don't. That's his answer, right? Don't do JavaScript. Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about my project. So project, I called it strike because that's a like deprecated HTML tag, and already like almost at 30 stars. This is really cool. And yeah, I started with this thing that it is actually a thing. You can actually run this in your JavaScript and it will actually return that. As far as I know, even like it works in Dino, it works like in all the other stuff. It was like, why? But that's a thing that exists. Yeah, I've seen that message. Yeah, and it's. Yeah. Are you expert in React server components in the world? Yeah. So the funny thing is that when they were talking about React server components, they said, and you can probably do that in other languages other than JavaScript. And I think Ryan Carniata was like also talking about something like that. And the more that I kind of like learn about it, the more that I see how it's done, there's actually like multiple ways of thinking about it and like multiple ways of implementing kind of like server components in other languages. I'm doing the way that is most, you know how in Astro, the point is that you can create, how do I say it? So in Astro, you work with like static HTML, but you can opt in into like fancier stuff. And this is the approach that I'm taking. So first and foremost, this Strike framework, it will generate like HTML. I don't have like easy way of like opting in and out from like React Server components, and it will probably, yeah, API wise, it's tricky. So like this part is not kind of like opt in at the moment, but you start with server and you can add islands, kind of like, how do I say it? As you need them, I guess. So it's like, because because I'm starting from a bit like different angle, I'm doing a bit like different trade-offs, and I don't start with, yeah, everything that is already in React should work. I'm starting with like, okay, let's start with a framework that could also do a bit of React. So it's like a different approach, and there are like other ways of doing it. I think once I have this working, I maybe look into like other ways. But the problem with the other ways is that it's harder to justify them. It's like, yeah, at this point, why aren't you just using JavaScript on the server? Do you think it makes sense to parse React Server components written in TypeScript and just convert them to Go during the build step, just for better performance? Yeah, so the problem with this approach of like million.js and all that stuff, so it's like, I have my slow app, I wrote it as a slow app. Can I just like wave a magic wand and turn it and make it fast? It's like a not the best proposition, right? If you do that, you're introducing like another step in your process that could like break or stop working, or like you have trouble with compatibility, all that stuff. So it's like you get some performance, but you make your system more complicated. And I don't know if that's like the recipe for success, right? I think like why is Svelte popular? It's not because it's faster, because it has some kind of like DX angle that people like. Why is Solid faster, right? It's like it's JSX but built on reactivity. And why is React popular, right? Because it's not just performant React. It's just like it's simpler React. It has less moving parts. So using React and then adding million.js on top of it, or some kind of like speed up on the server, that sounds more complicated than maybe just storing React Server components on, I don't know, like in Redis or something. So like all of those systems are probably going to be easier than doing something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. So this is the thinking about behind like Astro or Strike, is that you have this system that can work kind of like independent of React, and it has its own considerations of why it makes sense, why like you can use it, all that stuff, and you can use React with it. Okay, so let's start doing some coding. So I started kind of like writing down some of my thoughts. One of the things is that I will probably just have to stop working on this project soon, and I don't know when I'm going to go back to it. So like I will probably just like forget everything about it. So I'm starting to write down stuff so that I can go back to it easier, and I'm just like testing what are the directions that I can go into. So one is streaming. So I think that's the one that I have like open right now. Yeah. Is it? No, I think I. Hmm. Yeah. So okay. So here's the idea: is that I can have a page that like adds HTML over time, right? Which is like streaming 101. um, it requires like typecasting thing to how do I say it? So you need to typecast response writer into Flasher, because I'm guessing not every implementation has a Flash, and that's how they kind of like doing it. I guess there's no optional fields like in TypeScript or something, so I don't know. I don't know how that part works. But yeah, so I played this streaming a bit. Am I sharing the right screen? Okay, so this happened to me before. My screen could have just died. Yep. Okay, so I need to switch to studio mode. Go to screen. Is it working now? No. Oh my god. How do I fix it then? So display capture, built-in display. Okay. What? How do I fix it? Okay. Is it working now? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. I once did I once did a 1 hour stream with my screen turned off, so this is not as bad. Are you streaming on both on Twitch? Yeah. I did that before, just as an experiment. But yeah. Oh, and by the way, I missed the message from. Okay, let me read your name. Is that Sinanya? That's how I would have said it. Sinanya. Let me know if I'm close. Is there public repo of this? So I'm doing what I'm doing right now is Gelarchy/Strike. But the new repo that I started, I haven't pushed it yet, but I didn't do anything there yet. But the idea is to go and recreate. Where is it? Yeah, the server components demo. It's funny because that demo it doesn't actually have like SSR, so I will mine is going to be kind of like from a different angle, but that's the kind of like the fun of like. Okay, Sina, Nia, Sina. I'm willing to contribute. Do you know Go? Yeah. So let's go back to that new repo that I started and haven't pushed yet. I also started to work on kind of like frameworkification of Strike. So right now it's just the application. That's the Strike fly dev. So this is what you see on the repo. So this is the whole. This is basically the whole thing. But I'm trying to make it as a separate package so that you can make. So instead of doing strike nodes in like monorepo as an example, I want to try to make it as a separate package so that it would be easier for me to understand how separate packages work. So one fun thing that they do is you can write this like replace. So it's like instead of going to GitHub, I can go to local file and I can work on this file and see the changes right away. I don't have to like push it to GitHub. Gotta clone it. Yeah. So this is Strike. And again, maybe maybe I will push this one into examples folder. I don't know how all of this works. You can do that? I had no idea. Yeah, so this is like close to how like npm link or something works, right? But because it's using npm link works on package.json, and package.json usually points to like build artifacts. So when you're using link, you have to have like one process that like builds everything, the other process that makes sure that like that cache of the build is correct, all that stuff. Because in Go, you just use Go files. It works perfectly, at least like in my experience. Yeah. And I don't have to do that if I do monorepo, if this project is going to be in the same folder as Strike. But yeah, the whole point was to try to to make it as a separate repo. Okay, so right now it's just like Go app without any like structure. So I added. I don't know why I needed favicon. Oh yeah, because like everything else has a slash static before it. But otherwise, I'm just calling this like strike render to string. I don't know if like S is better or strike is better. Oh, I don't have to. Oh, that's interesting. It just uses this one, I guess. Plug and play in Yarn. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I never was able to make it work. Okay, so yeah, so let's not do that streaming stuff right now. Let's just focus on. Let's just focus on like this render to stream. So it would be cool if render to stream can stream. I don't know if I would have to do that for this app or not. I haven't looked into it, but yeah. About like API, so the API right now is like close to JSX. So when I write like h page, that basically means this, right? And page is just a function that returns the component. I can get I can also like pass props and all that stuff here. Unfortunately, if I do this, right, it compiles, but it will crash in the runtime. Where's my thing? Yeah, so it crashed, and it's like, hey, unsupported type. So this is not the best experience, but this is just the experience that Go gives us. But if I do like component, it will actually work. So I can do, if I pass like a props, I don't know, URL or something. No, it has to be string. And so I can do something like c props URL, and it's like slash, and if I'm on test, it's going to be test. So I can pass all of this stuff, but just not with type safety, unfortunately. Which you can, there's like another way of doing it, right? So I can make page a function that takes URL string and returns the component. Then I just call page function, right? And now magically I made it type safe. So I think this API actually makes sense. The problem with this is that if I do something asynchronous here, so I don't know, time sleep, right? Now I'm blocking on like here, instead of if I later implement my like, yeah. So now I'm going to block here instead of blocking in like render to string function. It will make a bigger difference when I'm going to do it's going to be a bigger difference once I'm doing streaming. So maybe I should be like returning a function here that returns a component, and then I can sleep with it. But that's for future me to figure out. Yeah, okay. So there's like a discussion about like PNPM and Yarn. I wish I could just use Bond for everything. NPM is bad. Yarn is good. PNPM is good if you're starting greenfield project and you just like start with PNPM. If your project is like not big enough until PNPM is a problem, just use PNPM. If it's a problem, give up and switch to Yarn. So that was like my approach so far. And usually I give up pretty quickly. Is Bun usable is next? Yes, so Bun is it's like a marketing thing. It's hard to talk about it. So I did this tweet. Okay. Okay, I forgot what the tweet was. There was a graph, so maybe I can just like find it. Yeah. So you can use where's it? Bunnext. So if I just call this, it will use bun to run this command, right? So instead of like npx, I did bunnext, and it also did bon install to install all of those dependencies. But if I go to that thing and I do bon x, oh no, bon run start, something like that. So is the port taken, or what's this complaining about? Oh, it's not start, it's def, right? Yeah. I always forget that. Yeah. So this application is running in Node, and if you do something like build, right? This build is going to run in Node. So is it really taking that long to build one page? Yeah, this is silly. So I can do bon run build, right? Yeah, I'm not going to make my point. Or I can do bon, or I can do npm run build, and npm is going to be like slightly slower. So for some commands, yeah. So right now it shows like a 1 second slower. It shouldn't be that slower, but there's like a slight difference. And I'm not using bon like the runtime to build all of those things, right? But I'm using bon the kind of like the command runner, the same way as you can use ni, right? So like enter def. Oh, I guess did I remove it? Yeah, so it's like I can use this runner, right? Or I can use or I can use bond runner. Oh, that's the wrong one. Bond run def. Yeah. So, and I can use like one of those installers, or I can use bond installer, right? So those don't affect the runtime. So can you use bond to as like a replacement for npx? I gave like an example of like dgit, right? Which is go to that package, download something, and it's like twice as fast. Still, you're not using bond like the runtime. It's the same way as like in Node. Or yeah, in Dino, you can use Dino for installing like Node packages right now, and create like Node modules and all that stuff, and not use Dino to actually run it. Is Indicate already very fast? Yeah, and just imagine if it's twice as fast just because you run it with bonx instead of npx, right? Which is like an easy win, and you're like not losing anything. So this is basically like the way that I usually use. But Utah is in the US. Yeah. Okay. So going back to this thing. So we have this this application. I already do whatever that is. I already do like style sheets and the title. So now what is actually getting run, right? So they have this separation into like bootstrap script, and I think they they just compile with Webpack into main.js, and then I don't remember when they import main.js. Maybe there's not no such thing. They do build. Yeah, so like when did they serve build? Yeah, index.html. So I guess it like adds it to index.html automatically. We don't have something like that. So our idea would be to create yeah, because we don't run build, I think we want to just make a new file and just say bootstrap.js. And if I just console log 123, and in my app, I will just have a script tag that is running bootstrap.js. So okay, so bootstrap.js is 404. Interesting. Why would it be 404? So we have this file, right? cross.svg. And we have this file. Okay, did I just bootstrap? Okay. Okay, so it was just a typo. So now we get this like 1, 2, 3. Chelyabinsk Oblast. Yeah, yeah. That's one of those. So now how do I put all of this stuff from Bootstrap to my thing? And yeah, so they use create root instead of hydrate root because they don't do SSR, which is for me kind of like the whole point. I want to do SSR. So we would have to do this part differently. But just to figure out how everything should be different. So this is the bootstrap that I use. Where is it? So mine is called client.js. Yeah. So this is like this is split in their thing into 2 files, and it probably needs to be inside of Strike, but I just don't know completely how I'm going to do that. So yeah, so we're going to go to Strike notes, and we're going to just put everything that I wrote. I think it will stop working because it needs to be a module, and then it's really easy to fix that. Just write type module, and I finally paid for Copilot again, so so we're all good. Okay, so we have this bootstrap. So now how do we make it look more like this? I don't want to copy it so that I don't have to do this MAT stuff. Yeah, but they are using React error boundary, which is not a bad idea. So first, let's just let's just see if we can make it work. Okay. So underscore RC is not defined. Okay. So that's our server side rendering part. And this is definitely should be like part of the framework. And we're not doing it yet. Yeah. So we need to figure this first, I guess. So let's go back here. So when we render our doc type and we render to string this thing, we also need to add this script. Yeah, this is definitely like a tricky like API design part, which I don't like to do. So what is the best way to kind of like separate everything? Because in React, it's kind of like hidden from you, but I'm not sure that's the best API. But if you're not hiding it, then there is no, like React has to be in control of that stuff. And then it just needs to say us, hey, this is that thing, this is the other thing. So when I call render to string, on the page, I get HTML. But if I try to marshal to JSON, yeah. So for now, I'm going to keep it kind of like separate. Yeah. So we're going to say that this is the page. We need to have it twice. And so once I have this JSON data, I need to be able to send it like this. This is definitely something. Yeah, I don't like designing APIs for this. So how do I... Yeah, it's interesting that I can actually do Flash here. I can actually send my HTML first, but then don't break the... And like hydration data could be sent later. Oops, I crashed something. Oh yeah, I don't use this stuff yet. Okay, so how do I wanna... Yeah, so what's the API? So I wonder if this part is the API, like just sending RC payload is the API. We already sent doc type. We already sent this, and we don't have to like pass it through template thing. But we want to be able to do this. Yeah. And the first one should be different from the other one. Okay. Yeah, by writing all of this thing, I realized how much I don't like designing APIs, because it's hard, and I want to try like 100 different things before I can make sure that I'm doing what I want. Okay, so let's just ignore all of this for a second and just copy paste it as is. And we will figure out parts that look similar later. So we don't do any of this stuff. We just do string script, and then too many return values. Okay, interesting. So, so this thing can't error out. That's interesting. Okay, so it just should return. Okay. Can I do something like this? Oh, something blinked. Do I have Discord open? Okay. So what's the... Okay, you're right. Like that. So now I'm doing this. So I don't have title. I don't have... Does it have to be a struct? I think I can just... Yeah, if I do something like this... Yeah. Yeah, if I just pass it like that, I think it should work. And we can't do this. Okay. So error is not used. So I guess the same. Why is it parsing template? It's error, say, reanalyzing data. I don't know what V means, but it's funny that you have that. Okay, so invalid property char set. Okay, that's fun. And this is fun because I never had to do that before. But actually, the way that my thing works, it stringifies stuff. Yeah, this is fun. This is this is fun. Okay. Yeah, so what is our RSC? So it's all of that stuff. So we have some errors. Meta is a void element tag. It must neither have children nor use dangerously set. Okay, so what is happening with meta? So JSON parse. Okay, so we have props, and inside of head we have meta, and that meta has char set, content. Oh, interesting. So, okay. Only title has children. So why are you complaining? So HTML had meta. Okay, we're going to fix it this way. We're just going to remove it and see which one will trigger the... Okay, I guess let's remove all of them. Okay, that's fine. So now let's introduce just one of them. Meta can't have children. But why does it have children? Okay, so this one works. This one works. Okay, char set 1 doesn't work. If it would be a char set, it would work. Okay. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, this is just like a wrong error. So when I'm doing my bootstrap thing, when I'm looking at props, I think those props need to be transformed, which is not that fun, to be honest. And how do I even know when to transform them? Yeah, this turned out to be a problem that I didn't even think about. So okay, so here's the idea. So you create props as an empty map. Then you do props children equals children, and you pass props here. So if you do that, like all of them are like not matching right now. So what you do next is you go through all the props. I don't know what that means. So you go through all the props and you just like set them, which is fine. And now if you have a prop, I guess if the X type, is it type? Yeah. So if the type is meta and the K is char set, you do like this, otherwise you do that. And what is this? It's props dot char set. So this is going to be a very manual process, but it works now. Okay. Yeah, so our JSON to JSX function got complicated, and it's going to get pretty complicated. So my thinking is the following. So we can do more stuff in Go, or we can do more stuff in hydration. And the balance that I'm going to take is to do less stuff in Go. So it's like it's going to generate page as fast as possible, but the hydration step is going to be maybe a bit more expensive. And we might add this as kind of like a plugin or whatnot. So when you send your JSON data, maybe you can do something like make hydration fast and just perform all of those transitions on the server, or you perform them on the client. So this could be like a thing that you have like a lever of like, oh, I think our pages are rendering slow, or I think our hydration goes slow. So we can like pick and choose which one to use. And if we did like fast hydration in this render page, we can maybe like check, oh, if it's already in this format, we don't have to do anything. If it's not, we have to do something. So this is my thinking. Again, I should probably just like write it down somewhere. But this is what I think so far. Okay, so this kind of works. So now the question is like, how do we split that into Bootstrap script that looks more like this, and the rest we want to put into yeah. So we should probably make a folder, and it's like JS, and in JS we want to make a yeah, I guess we make a folder here. It's like strike. So this is stuff that should go back to the framework eventually once we write this demo. So we move it here and we create a new folder. So this one is Bootstrap, the other is router. So we do create a router.js, and most of the stuff should be in router. I will just like put everything there, and I will just like look at this and figure out what I need. So the first thing that I need, yeah, so they do really little stuff in Bootstrap, like this render page. Yeah, so all of this. Okay, let me think about it. Yeah, so definitely all this like navigate and all that stuff goes there. Yeah, so now when I do hydrate root, I do document, and they do element, and then they do page. So page right now is this JSON to JSX, but we don't want to do that. We want it to be yeah, so we don't do this, we do just this, I guess. Yeah, it's called right away. Yeah, and we also don't store root anywhere, I guess. Yeah, we just hydrate root with this client router. Yeah, so we don't even pass anything to it. Yeah, it's not a client router, it's root. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm starting to get it. So we do stuff in root. So now root is yeah, I wonder if I can enable like JSX syntax inside of JS files. I know that there's like a Babel loader, and I want to play with that, but I'm not going to do that just yet. So we do JSX error boundary, and then we have fallback component that we're going to call error, and then our children is a client router. Okay, so this is the thing, and this is the thing. Okay, so we have this. So now where do we get, yeah, so what's going to happen if we run it now? Okay, it's file not found. Sure, it's not found because it's a static strike bootstrap. Okay. So now what about error boundary? So error boundary is just a thing that we can import. So we do import error boundary, and from ESM. Yeah, we don't need to do any of this canary stuff. So, okay, okay. So let's just console log that it actually works. Okay, it doesn't. So is this a thing? It is. Export. Okay, so it should be. Oh, I guess I'm console logging too late. Yeah, so it actually works. So we do error boundary, error. Oh, error is actually like a bad name, right? Because it's a, yeah, fallback error. Because it's, there's already a class that exists. Yeah, so the fallback error is, okay, takes error and it returns div. Okay, could it be div though? It has to be HTML and all that stuff. Yeah. So it has to be HTML. Children, body, pre. Okay. So maybe like fatal error. And they also add style. Okay. So, well, will this fly? Did I close it? Okay. Okay, so let's remove children for now. I just don't understand what this error means. Uh, div. Cannot convert undefined. So where do you take your convert undefined? Okay, so if we would to call okay. Okay. Not sure what's happening anymore. Key. Has valid key. Okay, do we have arrays anywhere? Okay, we have it in fallback. Okay, so I wonder if I just break on exceptions. I wonder if that will help me. Okay, did it not work or? Okay, what about code exceptions? Global is not defined. Okay, that's okay. Here, this is better. Okay, so the config is null, and what is the thing that we're calling? Is valid key. Okay, type props key. Okay, so we're calling JSX function, and okay, Okay, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. So JSX function takes type props. Oh yeah, I forget what was it. Okay, so it's children. Hello. Okay. Okay. So it couldn't hydrate, but at least it works. So now, yeah. So now let's say that this is the children, and we wanna run the root. Okay, cannot convert again. Okay, so what if fallback component is simpler? So it returns null. Okay, still cannot convert. So it's an error boundary as this in children. Okay, so let's simplify it a bit as well. Okay, confused. So fruit would have just returned this div. Yeah, this is one of those things. If I would have just used JSX, I wouldn't have to debug this as hard. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't pass props. Was that it? Okay, maybe it is. So what is components right now? Okay, it doesn't work. So we got a div in all of that stuff and such. Right, so now can we return JSX fallback error? Okay. So it returned null. So if it would have returned JSX, okay. So it works. It doesn't hydrate because of the thing. We also need to use JSX S here, I think. Extra attribute, hydration failed, blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine. So now let's try to do this again. Okay. So expect the server HTML to contain div in a document. So this is because of this. Because of our hydration thing doesn't match. So the real the real thing here is going to be where is it? Just router, right? Router. And we are going to, so we don't need any of this stuff. I guess we need this stuff. So we're going to say that we need to get router from this. And we need this. We need this. Okay. And this fallback error. Yeah, interesting that this is like a part of the framework. It's not user component. Okay, so router doesn't exist. So let's say that export function router, and it's just return JSX div children hello world. Okay, hydration mismatch, I'm assuming. You're calling React create route. Okay, we should be not doing this. Okay, not matching stuff. All that stuff. Div cannot appear child element. Yeah, so all of this is fine. So now if I would be to, yeah, if, yeah, so when I render page, I do this like JSON to JSX. So in my router, if I can create JSON data that is going to just parse RC, that I actually should like create it outside of the router. So I create it once, then I call JSON to JSX, and then I just return that page. JSON to JSX is not defined, so we need to define it. Okay, so I don't see anything on the page, which is not a good sign, but maybe it is. If I go to my page and I have my div and I say loading, okay, that's good enough. Yeah, and it's like, it's not hydrated at first, then it's hydrated. And yeah, we have this warning, but I'm not able to fix it yet. So we have this router. So we need to do the fetch stuff. So the way that we're going to, so we need to test it. We need to have like two links. So I'm just going to go to strike and just find my nav thing. So I'm going to just so why am I sleeping? Okay, so I just get nav and I just put it here, I guess. Okay, so now if I click on those links, it like our router didn't pick up yet. So the way that we think about it is, oh yeah, we need to look at the router here. So what the router here does, push state or something. Oh, they don't do any of that stuff. Interesting. Okay, so the router is probably going to be a less less help for this. They implement some kind of caching in router. Yeah, and they also have very like specific for the application stuff in router. So yeah, I don't think it's going to help us much. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look too promising. So yeah, so let's do just like our router. So one thing that we want to do is in React, they added new function that is use, there is like a use layout effect. And there is a new one, use insertion effect. Interesting. Please don't use it. Okay. Yeah, use effect. Okay. So I need to do React use effect once on the page to initialize uh, routing. So this is going to be like this code probably. Init routing. And we just call it. The funny thing that it will call it twice in strict mode and stuff. I don't know what to do there. Okay, so we do call data. What we don't do is that when the navigation happens, it will call like root render, but we don't have root anymore. So this yeah. So what did they do in this one? So they have cache and they have location. They have some kind of caches and keys. Yeah, and set transition. Yeah, so navigate does start transition and does set location. So set location is the thing that is like going to fork the, how do they call it? Yeah, some kind of cache and set cache. Interesting. So the set cache is also part of the transition. Okay. So we're going to do the following. They also, I think they also start transition on when they call in next. So if I go to my favorite app, grab app, and if I do start transition, they do this. Yeah, so how do I find? Yeah, how do I find where they do it? Okay, set transition is from React. Okay. So let's imagine that in a bootstrap where we do hydrate root, we will do React set transition. And put hydrate root inside of set transition. So I need to import React now. Okay, so we do this. React set transition is not a function. Interesting. Why isn't it a function? Yeah, start transition instead of set transition, right? Yeah, so I think this makes it somehow what I don't remember what. It makes it more asynchronous or something. Um, yeah, so I can do this. So now in so where is set location? What is the initial location? Location key. Selected IDs. Okay, I have like 2 minutes. I need to figure out what I can do here in those 2 minutes. So most of this stuff is fine. So what is missing right now is so I also have this one. It doesn't use transition, but it does fetch client JSX, and it has navigate. Yeah. Okay. So where do we do root dot something? Yeah. So yeah, so let's imagine that let's imagine that the init routing will return that function. Just return navigate and so how do I do it? So navigate is like a ref from a function that does nothing, but then when init routing is set, it's yeah, let's just say that it's just navigate. Okay, and no, don't like this. Yeah. So we need to start transition. And we need to get create from readable stream. Okay, yeah, this is too much. I have to run. What have we learned here? I broke my router at the moment. I'm not sure what's the like best API should be. What I'm missing here is that when I do all of this stuff, instead of rendering to string here, I need to check if header. Yeah, I need to check this. So if we get this like special header, our okay. Yeah, it should move stuff around. So get. Okay, so this is here, this is here. Okay, so actually, I guess I can just duplicate it, but then I need to duplicate the error messages as well. But I guess I'm going to do that. Yeah. So we have a page, and if you are getting a receive request, a root render is not a function. Yeah, but it kind of works, right? It gets the data now. So when I move around, it can go to the server and render a new page, and I just need to learn how to render it. Because I'm not using root.render, I want to do it through this router component. So instead of root.render, I need to just this thing should be like a state, and I need to return a new state. And for that, I need to start transition and all that stuff. And then for JSON to JSX, I also need to return strike island stuff because right now it's turned off. But okay, have to run. Thanks everyone who's hanging out in chat, and I already have whatever where is it? Okay, I don't know where to look for it. Yeah, I already have 7 followers on Kick, which is I only need 43 more, right? Okay, bye.